We did hear the announcement this morning that CDC intends to remove the requirement for international travelers traveling into the US to present a negative COVID test. That is something that has been in effect since last year, the beginning of last year. So we've been dealing with that since the beginning of 2021. And actually at the end of the year last year in 2021, December, they actually opted where travelers, international travelers who were returning to the US had to present that test within 24 hours. So it was an extra measure that all of our tourists traveling back to the US had to engage in that. So really, when we heard the announcement of the intention to remove that requirement this coming weekend on Sunday, we took it as very good news for the tourism industry because it's one less requirement for our international travelers.
Well, I am certain that the Ministry of Health and Wellness would perhaps have its own concerns or view on this matter. In terms of tourism, nonetheless, what implications would this have on people arriving into Belize wanting to vacation here?
Okay, well, you mentioned the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and of course, the perspective from the Ministry of Health is an important one for our country. We have removed a lot of the requirements for COVID over the last few months and opened up a lot more. So some of those decisions were made given the current situation of COVID. Now, the Ministry of Health will continue to make any additional changes to those regulations as they see fit. So I do encourage you to contact them and see what their perspective is on it. Rightfully so, from a tourism perspective, we would like to see as much freedom of movement, but of course that depends on the existing COVID situation. It's fluid, cases are up and down, the severity of cases change, but we've seen over the months where even though the number of cases may be up and down, the severity of those cases are low. So we do see this from a tourism perspective as a positive thing, so that our travelers don't have to engage in an additional step in order to depart the country. Insurance and what we've seen with the insurance, which was implemented initially due to COVID and the potential for our tourists to be testing positive on departure and having to stay longer periods before they test negative in order to return. That has been in effect, and that has been something that has been utilized, and the insurance companies have indicated to us that beyond just COVID, they have been seeing claims for many other types of things. So that is something that will need to be evaluated going forward. The extent to which that will remain necessary. We are doing that internal review and evaluation, and depending on the outcome, then we would then make recommendations.